So welcome everyone. Before we start today, let's take a moment of silence just to bring ourselves back in the body. And invoking Mother's and Sri Aurobindo's presence. So today I thought we can maybe take in another theme, like last time we took impermanence, reflections on impermanence from Mother's prayers and meditations. Today I thought we can maybe pick up those prayers or those extracts from the prayers. If we want, we can also read them full. Those parts where Mother talks about how this obsession about ourselves makes us suffer, and always, if we are continuously obsessed by things are happening which maybe are not to our liking, and we want them to have our own way, which for us mostly is the reason for our suffering and misery, because we have very rigid ideas of this is how it should be and this is not how it should be. So it makes us suffer, and it's not the case with a few of us, it is the case with all of us, because we all are together in the same boat. It's the similar kind of design that we have to go through. So in Buddhism also they say that the root of our suffering is this grasping at a kind of an imaginary self that I think myself to be. And when that self is present, as a byproduct of it, somebody other would be present also. Like if there is a hare, then automatically there would be a dare. So I am right now here, and wherever I am not, that becomes there. And when I go there, then that becomes the here, and some other place becomes the there. So that, like that, we have self and the other. And whenever I think of myself as this separate, limited individual who has to fight for her existence and has to keep away from people who are, not conducive, all these kind of things are at times necessary. As Sri Aurobindo says that for a child soul, these are all necessary steps that we have to protect, like a sapling has to be protected with a fence, because anybody can trample over it, and kind of it can be damaged. But there comes a time when there we keep around us a fence which does not let us grow, and it does not let us expand, and it makes us suffer also at times. It's inevitable. Suffering will arise whenever that little self, little me is there who has these preferences, these ideas. And why are people doing those things which are against my ideas? So that always we see, we have clashes like that nationally and globally and in our families, at workplace. So how to go about it? Mother shares in prayers and meditations that to recognize kind of an impersonality in ourselves. And Mother says that slowly by slowly, each part of my being will become impersonal in nature. Because whenever we take things too personally, like this little self, and for that I am doing something, or I'm aversive to something which is against that little self, whenever we engage in such kind of thoughts or feelings or actions, it leads us to kind of makes us suffer. So two words are very important today for reflection from Mother's prayers and meditations. One word is impersonality or impersonal, which is coordinated or in alignment with self-forgetfulness. So mother says implicitly and also directly that when we are obsessed with the sense of self, or very taking things very personally, it makes us suffer. The moment we shrug it off and kind of forget about ourselves and do the work which is required to be done, then we have peace. Then we are not suffering anymore. When the focus is not on this little me. And this is very much in accordance with other truths coming through, say, Buddhism or other masters and mystics. Yeah, so we'll explore some of these prayers today. Mm. So first, taking up the prayer of November 28, 1912. Yeah, so this we also read at some other point. We have read it a couple of times and maybe more, but we should read it again because it's a very, very revelatory prayer. And I think we should read the whole prayer and just concentrate maybe right now on the bits which attract us or maybe are in alignment with our theme today. So if anyone would like to read this prayer for us, it would be nice.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So I heard two yeses. Yeah, Dr. Anjali, you want to go ahead? Jagan can read the next one then.
November 28, 1912. The outer life, the activity of each day and each instant, is it not the indispensable complement of our hours of meditation and contemplation? And is not the proportion of time given to each the exact image of the proportion which exists between the amount of effort to be made for the preparation and realization? Are we supposed to read the highlighted one?
No, you just continue with wherever you
Huh.
are. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. For meditation, contemplation, union is the result obtained. The flower that blooms, the daily activity is the anvil on which all the elements must pass and repass in order to be purified, refined, made supple and ripe for the illumination which contemplation gives to them. All these elements must be thus passed one after the other through the crucible before outer activity becomes needless for the integral development. Then is this activity turned into the means to manifest thee, so as to awaken the other centers of consciousness to the same dual work of the forge and the illumination. Therefore, are pride and satisfaction with oneself the worst of all obstacles. Very modestly, we must take advantage of all the minute opportunities offered to knead and purify some of the innumerable elements, to make them supple, to make them impersonal, to teach them forgetfulness of self and abnegation and devotion and kindness and gentleness. And when all these modes of being have become habitual to them, then are they ready to participate in the contemplation and to identify themselves with thee in the supreme concentration. That is why it seems to me that the work must be long and slow, even for the best, and that striking conversions cannot be integral. They change the orientation of the being. They put it definitively on the straight path. But truly to attain the goal, none can escape the need of innumerable experiences of every kind and every instant. O Supreme Master, who shinest in my being and each thing, Let thy light be manifest, and the reign of thy peace come for all.
Thank you. So today my suggestion is that we focus on this second half of this prayer, just to keep ourselves a little concentrated, so that we can have more revelation on the topic that we have taken today, which is self-forgetfulness and the need for self-forgetfulness. So starting from here, very modestly, we must take advantage of all the minute opportunities, and these minute opportunities are all the circumstances of my life, the good people and the difficult people, especially the difficult people, because the good people are like cushions, like they're cushioning me. They are making me feel good about myself or supporting me. So for that, I need not worry. They don't make me anxious. What makes me anxious is challenging situations or difficult people around me who are kind of anti me. So these are the minute opportunities which can come to my life, and we have to take advantage of these minute opportunities. How much I get triggered by these little tits and bits of life, and to notice that yes, I do get triggered, and there is still not this equality or equanimity that Sri Aurobindo says that we should have, that nothing in me should move. But I see that no, like nothing in me should move, everything in me is moving. So where is that equality? So there are, in each one of our lives there are spots. Many things can happen in many areas of our life. We can remain totally detached and calm and like a sadhu and nothing is happening. But then there are those fields and areas or those people in our life where a little bit happens here and there, and we are just totally swayed like a leaf blown in a wind, and there is no ground, as if all the ground has been lost in that little trigger. So these opportunities, these challenging situations are the ones which are opportunities. Otherwise, how would I know that I am not actually standing on a solid ground? Otherwise, I would think that, oh, mera ho gaya, I'm fixed. I have attained some kind of realization. See, I don't move. But when these situations come which move me, then I realize that nahi, abhi kaam pura nahi hua. So they make us modest. So mother, that is why mother uses very modestly. They make us on the ground, they bring us on the ground. We may be high up in the air, thinking that we have done so many years of sadhana and see how I am advancing on the path. But very modestly, we must take all the advantage of all the minute opportunities offered to knead and purify some of the innumerable elements, to make them supple, to make them impersonal. So, when we are kneading a dough, what are we doing? We are making it homogeneous. है ना, उसको पूरा एक जैसा बना रहे होते हैं. आटा जब गूंथते हैं तो उसमें पानी डलता है, आटा होता है, जो भी आपने डाला है उसके अंदर वो होता है. एंड व्हेन वी आर स्टार्टिंग टू नेट द डो, देन इट इज लाइक, इट्स लाइक कोर्स, इट इज रफ. आधा टुकड़ा गीला है, आधा टुकड़ा सूखा है. इट्स नॉट होमोजीनियस. But when we are able to knead the dough nicely, and we also keep it for some time after kneading, then we see that there is a kind of homogeneity that comes. It becomes all like alike and supple. There is a flexibility and elasticity in that dough. So these opportunities are moments for me to purify myself, because they tell me that there are so many instances in me, in this machinery called me, which are not aligned with my central goal. मुझे लगता है that I am consecrated to Mother and Sri Aurobindo, but then why are so many elements in my being again and again swayed by this or that influence? So कहीं ना कहीं कुछ गड़बड़ घोटाला चल रहा है, और सबके चल रहा है. We are all on the same ground, because it's a long and slow journey, as Mother says. So ऊपर ऊपर से लग सकता है, मे बी relatively speaking, one may think that, oh, that person is better than that one along the spiritual path. But the one who we think is advanced on the spiritual path, उसको आगे की तरफ वो आगे देखेगा तो उसको लगेगा नहीं नहीं अभी तो बहुत कमी है. So it's like a very long ladder that all of us are kind of traveling on, and there is no point making comparisons with the other people around us. The only thing is that my attention comes back to me and I recognize that, oh, there are still so many parts in me which do get triggered by this and that, and I am not exclusively under the divine influence, as Mother and Sri Aurobindo say that we can be. I see that there are other influences which do disturb me. They do, they make me worry. My whole being gets swayed. So these are opportunities where it gives me a chance to purify myself, to make myself homogeneous. Hmm? Knead and purify some of the innumerable elements. Now again, look at the elements. They are innumerable. And how do I get to know whether this element is purified or not? I don't get to know unless I get an opportunity in which that element shines in its kind of a shadow or darkness. That instance in my life tells me that, oh, abhi mera kaam nahi hua. Because see, this element is not yet purified. My thoughts are again and again going where they should not go, for example. Why are they going there? Why are my feelings not totally consecrated to the divine? Why do I go in the past older grooves again and again? So when I do that, when I fall into these traps, for me, that is like a mirror on my face that, see, this element is not yet purified. That is how we get to know, and then we can work upon it to make them supple. So if there is rigidity somewhere in our being, then it comes up as a difficult, opportune moment, and then we can make them supple. We can make them not hold tightly to these ideas or opinions that we may have in our mind, which are making us suffer, and also to make them impersonal. Now, this is beautiful because it is because of taking everything personally that we suffer. Think about it. No? If I'm looking at my life as some other person's life, then I don't suffer that much. I may have empathy, but I don't suffer that much. But if I take things on me that, oh, this is happening to me, why did that person say that to me? Why did that happen to me in the past, or right now it is happening or will happen in future? So everything, when it is happening to me, then it becomes a reason of my suffering. Because right now, if we think so many people are suffering throughout the world, I may have empathy around them, but I am not suffering. Hmm? So impersonal, because when we take things personally, then we suffer. So to make them impersonal, like to make the feelings impersonal, to make the thoughts impersonal. What does it mean to make the thoughts impersonal? जी, आपने अगर किसी के सामने कोई पॉइंट पुट फॉरवर्ड किया और वो पॉइंट अगर आपका नेगेट किया गया, रिजेक्ट किया गया, हमको डिसअपॉइंटमेंट होती है, हमको लगता है मेरा पॉइंट रिजेक्ट किया गया, सो दैट इज पर्सनल, आई एम टेकिंग इट पर्सनली. वाइल अगर मेरे दिमाग में आइडिया है कि नहीं, यहाँ पे जो सबसे हित है, हित होना चाहिए, चाहे वो मेरा पॉइंट ले या किसी और बंदे का पॉइंट ले, है ना, इससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता. तो मुझे डिससेटिस्फेक्शन होती है अगर मेरा पॉइंट नहीं लिया गया, किसी और का अगर पॉइंट लिया गया, उसको ज्यादा प्रायोरिटी दी गई, मेरे को उससे जेलसी होती है. सो दिस इज लाइक चित के साथ पट आती है ना, हेड विद हेड्स कम टेल्स. So these are two stones of duality in which we are stuck if we are believing in this little personal me. तो अगर मेरा सारा फोकस दिस पर्सनल सेल्फ पे और फोकस ट्रूथ पे नहीं है, तो फोकस इस चीज पे नहीं है कि यहाँ पे बेस्ट क्या होना चाहिए, उस पे नहीं है मेरा फोकस. मेरा फोकस है मेरी बात नहीं मानी गई, तो मेरे को बड़ा दर्द होता है. और उसकी क्यों मानी गई, उससे मेरे को चिढ़ मचती है. क्योंकि फोकस क्या है, फोकस है मैं और वो दूसरा बंदा. फोकस ट्रुथ नहीं है, फोकस डिवाइन नहीं है हमारा, है ना. फॉर अ लॉन्ग टाइम इट इज नॉट दैट. सो लाइक दिस वी कैन मेक थिंग्स इम्पर्सनल, कि होना क्या चाहिए, सबका हित. अगर सबका हित इसमें है तो चलो ये पाथ ले लेते हैं, है ना, चाहे आपका माना गया नहीं माना गया, उससे क्या फर्क पड़ता है. सो दैट लाइक दैट वी बिकम इम्पर्सनल. अगेन व्हेन वी टेक फीलिंग्स. यस अंजलि जी.
जस्ट जैसे आपने कहा कि इफ इट इज अ ग्रुप एक्टिविटी, if it is a group activity, what I want to say is that you realize that yes, when your viewpoint was not taken, so you took it personally. So realizing it, and then at that moment understanding it and trying to resolve it is the better practice.
I think Sri Aurobindo says about this that there are always means to establish some kind of harmony.
Okay.
There are. Although he says that the true harmony, the truest harmony that we are seeking, that can only be found when we have all found our soul consciousness, or we are when supramental, has manifested completely.
Mm.
Then we can have true harmony. Everyone will have their exact place in the whole puzzle that is this life, and no one will be fighting with each other.
Mm.
But right now we have to understand that we are living on a relative level. Now things have not yet become supramentalized.
Right.
I have not found my soul consciousness. The other person also does not have his soul consciousness totally in front. So there would be relative levels of harmony.
So you mean to say that we are not taking it personally, but we realize that I'm taking personally. So next time when the opportunity comes like this, then we have to be aware of the situation that we need not to take things personally.
Yes, and also realizing that if you are putting forward a point,
हाँ.
which actually you feel that no, it is an impersonal point, and I know I'm not saying it that people मुझे importance दें, मैं इसलिए कह रहा हूँ क्योंकि ये इसको benefit करेगा. For that actually we should take stand. ऐसा नहीं है कि हमको stand नहीं लेना और passive होके. See, Bhagat Singh took a stand, but he was so impersonal. He said कि मेरी जान चली जाए लेकिन मुझे ये जो है वो गलत हो रहा है. That is also impersonal. So he took a stand, but he was not taking it personally, but he also gave himself fully कि भैया ये मेरी जान ले लो, but ये point ठीक है तो मुझे इसके लिए खड़ा होना ही है. So when we are saying that harmony has to be maintained, it does not mean that you would stand for wrong reasons and not put forward your point which you feel is a valid point. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि हमको अपना पैशन खत्म करना है लाइफ के लिए, या हमारा जो एक या हीरोइज्म
हाँ.
है.
हाँ, क्योंकि वो लगता है कि फिर हम एकदम जड़ की तरह से तो नहीं रह सकते हैं कि सब कुछ देख रहे हैं फिल्म की तरह, हमें क्या फर्क पड़ता है.
नहीं, ऐसा
तो
नहीं
हमें
है.
पड़ता है. In personal relationship में भी if you are seeing that the person whom you love and you care and you want to give some advice and और person उसको नहीं ले रहा है, तो हमको इंडल्जेंट नहीं होना चाहिए, लेकिन ये है कि उसको हमें सही राय देते रहने चाहिए without being personal. Right. Thank you.
And also I think with mother we also see the power of prayers.
हाँ.
So if for example at times it can happen that people are not receptive because each person is operating out of their ego consciousness, and egos are rarely receptive. It would be a truly sattvic ego which would be actually very receptive and also passionate, like rajo sattvic. But it is very rare, and that's why we have whenever there is a spiritual kind of a co-traveling, there we have openness towards each other because we know that we want benefit of each other. ना हम कोई गलत इंटरेस्ट से एक दूसरे को नहीं देख रहे हैं, we want benefit of each other, so there can be an openness. But usually it happens that people are anti each other at times, especially the ones living quite close to us, and they are not receptive, and your talking and speaking actually makes them feel more resistance and more repulsive. So these are the points where I feel that prayers have a lot of effect, like really holding that person, say in mother's lap, or knowing that of course I am feeling helpless, that but may the mother take care of that person, or whatever is the best attitude that we can take inwardly, because that what happens is it soothes our burning hearts.
Right.
Our hearts burn when things are not happening which should not happen, which can be avoided, but at times we see that like world war could not be avoided, it happened. So अब क्या करें, क्या रोएं पीटें चीखें चिल्लाएं, अब हो रहा है तो हो रहा है ना. We have to go through it, we have to pass through it. But those people or those of us who are now passing through it, we cannot underestimate the prayers, the power of prayer. So rather than worrying and keeping in anxiety and panic all the time about the other people who may have been protected, why not hold them in mother's arms or imagine the highest possible for them, that may their life unfold in a manner which is suitable, because that soothes us also, and that generates a kind of a goodwill in my heart towards that person. Because होता क्या है, लोग जो हमसे एंटी होते हैं ना चाहते हुए भी हमारे माइंड में, हमारे हार्ट में उनके लिए एक इल विल सी डेवलप हो जाती है कि अच्छा मेरे को क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है ना, जो करता है करे,
वो होता है उसको।
है ना। तो उसको करेक्ट करने के लिए, टू सूद अवर ओन हार्ट्स and their hearts also, I think it is very, and in the beginning it is very difficult.
And
Then
it is a tested formula. And
हाँ,
it is a tested formula for me also. And what I do when I find that I am not able to receive the other's viewpoint or my feeling towards others, then I pray Om Shri Aurobindo Mira, open my mind, my heart, my life, to so that I can understand others' viewpoint, which I am not able to perceive probably.
true, true,
So
true.
for others doing the prayer, and if I am not able to receive others' viewpoint, so opening towards helps us,
True, true, true.
right?
And it grounds us also, क्योंकि बार बार ईगो जो महारानी है वो एकदम से उछल के बैठ जाती है कि नहीं मेरे को पता है और मेरी बात नहीं मानी जा रही. But when I see that, oh, this is a very conflicting situation and I don't know what is right, what is wrong, but mother, you know. So as
Yes.
you were saying, that if we open inwardly, then it also keeps us humble and grounded. That मुझे actually में नहीं पता. So yeah. And then we are able to let go of our own preferences and likings also for that particular situation. That mother, matlab, I don't know, this is a very confusing situation, what to do, but you know, so I am, just show me the light, show me the path, like that we can open. Yes.
Yes, it works.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Anything more here, anyone? Okay. So to make them impersonal, to teach them forgetfulness of self. So this is what we were discussing, that आपका पॉइंट लिया गया या नहीं लिया गया, आपकी फीलिंग्स को अप्रिशिएट किया गया या नहीं किया गया, that is very trivial, but for us it is not trivial. For us, we have not a very good sense of self, we have an unhealthy sense of self. तो हमको ये छोटी छोटी चीज़ें बहुत ज़्यादा अटैक कर जाती हैं. लाइक अगर मेरी उंगली पे जली हुई है उंगली और उस उंगली पे कोई नमक छिड़क दे, तो मैं ब्लेम करूंगी नमक को या नमक छिड़कने वाले को, बट एक्चुअली में एक हेल्दी उंगली को नमक का पता भी नहीं लगता और उस पर नमक लग के चला जाता है. तो हमारी हालत जो है ये जली हुई उंगली के जैसी है काफ़ी केसेस में, नॉट ऑल द केसेस बट इन मैनी केसेस. हमको कोई भी चीज़ कहीं पे भी हिट कर जाती है और इसमें बाकियों की गलती नहीं है एक्चुअली. इसमें मेरे को एक्चुअली में थैंकफुल होना चाहिए कि वो मेरे को बता रहा है कि मैं कहाँ पे वुंडेड हूँ, कहाँ पे मेरा अभी हीलिंग नहीं हुई है, कहाँ पे उंगली फिर भी कोई चाकू लगा हुआ है या कटी हुई है, तभी नमक इतना ज्यादा लग रहा है, क्योंकि बाकी शरीर पे तो नहीं लग रहा. So this is forgetfulness of self. Now forgetfulness of self can come only when there is a healthy sense of self that I try to cultivate. है ना, कि अब अगर मेरे उंगली पे कटा हुआ है और उस पे मैं नमक कोई लगा रहा है और आप मुझे बोलो कि नहीं नहीं तू उस पे ध्यान मत दे, नहीं नहीं तू उस पे ध्यान मत दे, ऐसा पॉसिबल नहीं है. बार बार मेरा ध्यान उस पे जाएगा ही जाएगा. व्हाई? बिकॉज इट इज हर्टिंग टू मच, बिकॉज दैट एरिया इज अनहील्ड. So right now I am forgetting the whole body, which is healthy, but I am not able to forget this cut हुआ finger, which is unhealthy. So we are not able to do this self-forgetfulness when we have unhealed sense of self, unhealthy sense of self. So that is why in Buddhism, when we kind of start in the beginning, we start with loving kindness towards our own self and others. ना कि मे आई बी वेल एंड हैप्पी, may others around me be well and happy, may everyone be well and happy. So you include yourself, because we have to include ourselves, because we do not have a healthy sense of self. We have had a childhood or had a young age where many wounds happened, and we
Right.
never gave them a chance to heal.
Hmm.
So अगर आप मेरे को बोलो कि नहीं तू इस काम में अपने आप को झोंक दे और अपने आप को भूल जा, मेरे वो बस का है ही नहीं, क्योंकि मैं अपने आप को भूल ही नहीं पा रही. So, I think parallelly, when we put ourselves into good work and try to not give too much importance to us, at times it will hurt us, and at times things will happen which will bring my attention to this little self, me. And these are the opportunities where I can develop and cultivate a healthy sense of self. कि क्या फर्क पड़ता है, एंड मे आई बी वेल एंड हैप्पी, एंड टेकिंग केयर ऑफ अवर ओन सेल्फ ऑल्सो. अगर कोई चीज मुझे नहीं अच्छी लग रही, परेशान कर रही है, गिविंग माई सेल्फ अ चांस टू हील. It's a
Hmm.
very kind, I think, gesture that we do that, if we are able to do that. So loving kindness towards our own self first, and then towards extending it to others. Because if we keep on giving through a wounded sense of self, then actually it makes us suffer very much. तो हमारे
Hmm.
दिमाग से पता है क्या नहीं जाएगा, कि ये देखो मैं कर रही हूँ, मैं दे रही हूँ, मैंने इतना काम किया. वो मैं
Hmm.
नहीं जाएगा, वो मेरे सर का भार बन जाएगा. अब आप काम आश्रम के लिए कर रहे हो, या काम कुछ बहुत अच्छा कर रहे हो, लाइक यू आर डूइंग डिवाइन वर्क, यू थिंक, बट क्योंकि वो वुंडेड सेंस ऑफ सेल्फ है, तो वो उसके इट्स लाइक अ ड्रॉप ऑफ पॉइजन एडेड इनटू दैट डिवाइन वर्क. वो छोड़ेगा नहीं आपको पीछा, कि ये मैं कर रही हूँ, ये तू कर रही है. And when we are able to cultivate a healthy sense of self and heal our wounds and recognize whenever we are wounded and heal it, give it to the divine or whatever our ways may be to heal it, then we slowly, gradually develop a healthy sense of self. Like my whole body is healthy now, and अब पिछले 1 घंटे से मैंने कहीं पे कोई ऐसा बॉडी पार्ट नहीं है जो दर्द कर रहा है, तो मेरा उस पर कोई फिर ध्यान जाता भी नहीं है. ध्यान सिर्फ तभी जाता है जब मेरी कोई फिंगर या कहीं पे कटा होता है, कहीं लगी हुई है. सो slowly that self-forgetfulness can come, which is a kind of a prerequisite for peaceful life, as mother says. So making these innumerable elements impersonal, and teach them. And now we have to teach them. They are not by default self-forgetful. यही हमारी जर्नी है. जैसे हम वो मंत्र गाते हैं, अस्तो माँ सद गमय, है ना,
Hmm.
असत से सत की तरफ. सत पहले से एग्जिस्ट नहीं कर रहा, अभी असत ही है.
Hmm.
देयर इज डार्कनेस, and that is why we have all these prayers which are like take me towards light and take me towards immortality. क्योंकि
Hmm.
immortality नहीं है अभी मेरे पास, that is
Hmm.
why I am praying take me towards immortality.
Hmm.
एंड क्योंकि सत नहीं है अभी, असत का रूल चल रहा है, तो मैं बोलती हूँ प्लीज टेक मी टुवर्ड्स सत एंड टेक मी अवे फ्रॉम असत. So we have to know that by default things are dark. So by
Hmm.
default they don't have a forgetfulness of self, but we can teach them, we can cultivate, and that is why we practice, because practice is cultivation. है ना, जैसे कोई भी चीज हम गिटार विटार या कुछ भी चीज सीखते हैं, तो हम कल्टीवेट कर रहे हैं हैबिट, कि मैं सीख जाऊं अच्छे से, है ना. और अगर किस दिन मैं छोड़ देती हूँ उसकी प्रैक्टिस, तो फिर मुझे लगता है ओ जो जितना आता था वो भी भूल गई. हो जाता है अक्सर ये. But then there comes a time that I have practiced so much that it becomes part of my nature to play guitar or any instrument. We have seen this with very great musicians, that their life is music. There is no difference between life and music, like there is no separation. So mother says that slowly we get this new taste of impersonality and forgetfulness of self, slowly. And abnegation, like you don't focus too much on yourself कि आज मेरी तबीयत ठीक नहीं है, अच्छा आज मुझे उसने ना ये बोला था, उसने मुझे 5 साल पहले भी यही बोला था, वो बार बार यही बोलते हैं. So these kind of things, then we don't have that taste for that. Abnegation and devotion, because हम चिपचिपे लोग हैं, तो अगर इधर उधर नहीं चिपकना चाहते जो कि दर्द देता है, तो हमको चिपकाना होगा अपने आप को भगवान से. दैट इज डिवोशन. वी हैव टू चिपक to truth. We have to cling to the divine, as mother says. Cling to nothing but to truth. क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं हम चिपकेंगे, है ना. सो दैट वुड बी डिवोशन, कि मे आई ओनली टर्न fully, slowly, gradually to the divine devotion and kindness and gentleness. This comes along with this forgetfulness of self. And when all these modes of being have become habitual, अब ये नया टेस्ट डेवलप हो गया, है ना. हैबिचुएटेड हो गई मैं इस टेस्ट को. पहले गंदा टेस्ट था, पहले बार बार कंप्लेन्स की आदत थी, बार बार जो जहाँ पे जला हुआ है उस पे ध्यान जा रहा है ना. बाकी हेल्दी पोर्शन का ग्रेटिट्यूड ही नहीं है बिल्कुल. तो अब धीरे 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 these things, impersonality, forgetfulness of self, abnegation, devotion, kindness, gentleness, these are my new qualities that I develop, cultivate. क्योंकि अभी मेरे में जो एग्जिस्ट करता है वो सारा इसका ऑपोजिट है. Because I realize that if I keep on focusing on this little me, there is no end to my woes and worries. There is no end. वो अनंत है, हमारी वरीज अनंत है. कोई ऐसा दिन नहीं आएगा कि मैं वरी फ्री हो जाऊंगी और तब मैं अपना काम कर सकूंगी. नहीं, वरीज के बीच में रहते हुए हमें अपने आप को ढंग के काम में डालना होता है. So that worries become secondary. They don't matter that much. They can exist like on the side. Let them exist. So when all these modes of being have become habitual to them, now they are used to this new taste, then they are ready to participate in the contemplation and to identify themselves with thee in the supreme concentration. That is why it seems to me that the work must be long and slow, even for the best, and that striking conversions cannot be integral. तो जो स्ट्राइकिंग कन्वर्जन्स हैं वो इस टाइप के होते हैं कि आपको एक झटके में कुछ रेवलेशन हुआ लाइफ में. दैट झटका में बी लॉस ऑफ अ लव्ड वन, that jhatka may be a very dramatic experience in your life, or an illness or anything, you know. And through that jhatka, there is an orientation that turns, like you get a window into something new. अच्छा ये भी मेरी possibility है ना, जो कि अभी तक पता ही नहीं था कि अच्छा ऐसे भी जिया जा सकता है. But these striking conversions, mother says, that they change the orientation of being. आपको अब इसने उस रोड पे तो भेज दिया जो एक नई पॉसिबिलिटी की तरफ आपको लेके जा रही है, बट उस पे चलना और उस पे स्टेबलाइज करना अपने आप को, दैट इज अ लॉन्ग प्रोसेस, बिकॉज यू विल बी पुल्ड अगेन एंड अगेन टुवर्ड्स ओल्डर पैटर्न्स, राइट. बट विद मोर एंड मोर time passing by, you will have more conviction that I cannot make a U-turn now. That this is where I have to head, this is where I have to head. So that U-turn will become now impossible. But it is not that troubles will go away or difficulties and challenges are going to go away. Striking conversions, mother says, that they are helpful in a way that they change the orientation of the being, but the full, each part of the being becoming impersonal and devoted to the divine, that takes a long time. So we have to give ourselves that time and not get frustrated that, oh my God, मेरे से क्यों नहीं हो रहा. So yeah, and then the other part which I just read was that then when these modes of being have become habitual to them, then they are ready to participate in the contemplation and to identify themselves with thee in the supreme concentration. There is a chapter in Synthesis of Yoga for those of us who are interested. It is called, I think, concentration. Concentration. So here Sri Aurobindo talks about these two aspects, which is purity and concentration, and purification and concentration. And he says, in like, I can share a little bit of crux where he says that, and this would be our experience also. With our experience, we can see that when in one instance, in one moment of time, when I have a purity in my being, कि उस मोमेंट में आपको बिल्कुल क्लैरिटी से समझ में आ गया है कि मुझे डिवाइन की तरफ टर्न करना है. उस मोमेंट में हमारी कंसंट्रेशन मदर के ऊपर बहुत बढ़िया होती है. right. उस एक मोमेंट में, है ना, वो चेंज हो जाएगी.
जिस समय लग रहा है कि ये डाइवर्जन आया,
हाँ
ये हुआ, ये दिस इज समथिंग, एक एल्योरिंग है, उस समय एकदम फिक्स होना कि कंसंट्रेशन ऑन मदर, दिस इज माय पाथ, नॉट
exactly,
दिस.
exactly. So he shares that purity and concentration are connected. They are like feminine and masculine parts of the same thing. Purity is feminine, it's like more receptive, passive, and concentration is more masculine, means like it has, there is an effort that you can put there, you know, like an active process, something like that. But you can see, you know, read it out for yourself. And we have experiences in our life where we can see that whenever in those moments of purity, where in this moment I recognize, owing to my suffering, that I do, as you were sharing, that we do get distracted, and let me not get distracted, and you know, let me be concentrated in my being, or in gathered in my being. There we have instances of supreme concentration also. So in purity, we have concentration. When we are impure, what do we mean by impure? Means I have scattered threads of my consciousness.
कॉन्शियसनेस इधर
हाँ,
उधर.
कोई एक पार्ट है जो बार बार उधर उस बात पे जुगाली करना चाह रहा है ना? तो हम देखते हैं कि हमारी कंसंट्रेशन भी ढंग की नहीं होती है, बार बार हम खींचे चले जाते हैं कुछ एस्पेक्ट्स की तरफ. So concentration and purity go together. So mother says that when we have purified them, when all of them have developed this new kind of a taste, then we can have a concentration upon thee, which is like to identify ourselves with the divine. तो वो इट्स लाइक एक दूसरे के लिए वो कैटलिस्ट की तरह काम करता है. तो कैटलिस्ट अगर याद हो, हमने केमिस्ट्री में पढ़ा था, कैटलिस्ट इज समथिंग जिससे कोई चीज जल्दी से हो जाती है ना? जैसे आपको फर्मेंट करना है, उसमें ईस्ट इज लाइक अ कैटलिस्ट. आप खमीरा करने के लिए, फर्मेंट करने के लिए आप ईस्ट की कुछ गोलियां डाल दोगे, so it works like a catalyst. It does the job very quickly. Yeah.
I have one more question.
Yes.
Like you are having different kinds of experiences at the same time. Say, for example, 1 day, 2 day, you are going out and you are having some experiences which you understand that these experiences are different in a line. But at the same time, your center of consciousness is at one place. And at that time, mind wanders and questions arise. It may lead to doubt also, self-doubt also. But at the same time, when you concentrate, that there's one center, or you can say that there's one anchor which you hold on. It may be for some time not visible for you, but suddenly you find, no, your anchor is this. So then in that moment, you understand what are these different experiences which you are having of different path. And it is not a question of your path is good and my path is good and your path is, this kind of discussion or debate people do about it. But when you get out of that debate or experiences, the same thread, which is your anchor. So this is also an opportunity to concentrate, to have your goal clear in your mind, what you are supposed to, right?
Yeah, I'm sure if it's your experience, I'm sure. Yes, yes. Not doubting at all. Yes, yes, yes.
I recently experienced this self-doubt and these kinds of things happen, then suddenly you understand, no, these are all experiences. Go ahead, experience it. This is also part of that consciousness, and then you have your own anchor.
Nice. Yes. Anything more? Yes, anyone? So let us take something a little more, not much. We may not be able to take up all the prayers today that I have shortlisted for the topic, but let us see how much we can take. 1913 I want. 1913. November. So this November 28, 1913. So here, yeah, I want to just highlight for us this part today. Yeah, if anyone would like to read this highlighted part, that would be nice.
Yeah, I'll read it. O Divine Master, grant that today may bring to us a completer consecration to Thy will, a more integral gift of ourselves to Thy work, a more total forgetfulness of self, a greater illumination, a purer love. Grant that in a communion growing ever deeper, more constant and entire, we may be united always more and more closely to Thee, and become Thy servitors worthy of Thee. Remove from us all egoism, root out all petty vanity, greed, and obscurity. May we all, ablaze with Thy divine love, make us Thy torches in the world.
Yeah, thank you. So here also one thing which we see is that since we notice in ourselves that although centrally we may want to consecrate ourselves to the mother or whatever in is in our mind, any form of divine or anybody who we want to concentrate to, like in a form or formless way, although we may say that centrally I want it, but when it comes to our action, body and speech, when it comes to my thoughts and feelings, then I see that it is not happening. And then we see that at many occasions we fail. तो काफी बार दुख होता है कि ये क्यों मुंह से निकल गया, नहीं निकलना चाहिए था. और ये दुख बड़ी मुझे लगता है अच्छी बात है, बिकॉज दैट इज वेयर स्लोली आई एम अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि व्हाट इज अननेसेसरी नाउ इन माय लाइफ, दैट आई डोंट वांट इट कीपिंग काइंड ऑफ हैंगिंग अराउंड. तो दाल में जैसे काला दिखना शुरू हो जाता है, कि अब नहीं रिक्वायर्ड. दिस इज अगेन एन एस्पेक्ट ऑफ प्योरिटी ओनली. So then this aspiration can arise in our being, that grant that today may bring to us a completer consecration to thy will. Why will I aspire this? Because I see that my actions are not in complete consecration to the divine will. Only then this prayer will arise. Because here mother is identifying with the earth consciousness, and that is why she is able to show us the path, that when we are here, when we are not fully consecrated to the divine, what should we do? But we want to. So, O Divine Master, grant that today may bring to us a completer consecration to Thy will, a more integral gift of ourselves to Thy work. Integral means in all parts of our being. That no part of my being should be wanting anything else but to offer myself in the divine work. And the divine work is happening everywhere. Anything which brings us more closer to our true self, and does like some selfless work, some work which benefits myself and others and the mankind in general, or sentient beings, that all is divine work, the work that brings benefit. So a more integral gift of ourselves to thy work. A more total forgetfulness of self. So again this aspect comes, क्योंकि जब जब मेरे ऊपर फोकस रहता है तो मेरे को लगता है अच्छा मेरे को क्या मिल रहा है इससे. और एक्चुअली में जब हम देखेंगे, when we actually begin to do this kind of work where we are offering ourselves to some good work, एक्चुअली में हमें ही तो मिल रहा है, और किसको मिल रहा है? इट्स लाइक ट्रू फुलफिलमेंट. So we were reading in Savitri the other day, I think yesterday, we were reading how this Prakriti, or the secret nature, when now it is succumbing to Ashupati and saying that, okay, now I am your slave, you do whatever you want to do with me. although she is doing it reluctantly, she's compelled to bring herself to the feet of Ashupati, but there itself is her fulfillment and a true freedom. This we were reading yesterday, that in that she is like free of herself, कि भैया भला हुआ मेरी गगरी फूटी, मैं पनिया भरन से छूटी, कि अब मुझे अपने ऊपर फोकस करने की जरूरत नहीं है, because there is this king in front of me whose slave now I have become, and he knows what to do with me. So अपनी चिंता करने से हमारी फुर्सत छूट गई, हमारी फिक्र नहीं है अब अपने ऊपर. So this we were reading yesterday also. So in Savitri there are other lines also where Sri Aurobindo shares that how when we give ourselves fully to the divine, we actually come to our fruition, that is our true use. For God's purpose are we made. उसी के काम के लिए हम बने हुए हैं, लेकिन हम जब तक अपने आप को सिकोड़ सिकोड़ के अच्छा मेरी जिंदगी मेरी लाइफ, मैं ऐसे कर लूं मैं वैसे कर लूं, तब तक ना हम खुद खुश हो पाते हैं और ना किसी का बेनिफिट हो पाता है. तो इसमें अपना भी बेनिफिट है और बाकियों का भी बेनिफिट है कि आपने अपने आप को पूरी तरह से ऑफर कर दिया, ना आपको अब अपनी चिंता की जरूरत कि भैया रखे या संभाले या उड़ा दे, ये उसकी प्रॉब्लम है ना. आपने सही काम के लिए अपने आप को ऑफर कर दिया. अब आपकी कितनी जिंदगी है, छोटी है या बड़ी है, इससे आपको क्या लेना देना. सो अ मोर इंटेग्रल गिफ्ट ऑफ अवर सेल्फ टू दाई वर्क, अ मोर टोटल फॉरगेटफुलनेस ऑफ सेल्फ, कि अब आपको चिंता करने की अपने बारे में जरूरत नहीं है, एक बार जब आपने सही जगह पे अपने आप को दे दी. दैट इज अ रिलीफ फॉर अस, कि अपना बर्डन हमारे माथे से, मैं और मेरी चिंता और मेरी कहानी और मेरी फैमिली, वो सब हट गया क्योंकि आपने सही जगह पे अपने आप को दे दिया. A greater illumination. And why illumination? Because a lot of darkness is caused by this excessive obsessive focus on me and myself. And when that burden is taken away, light is there. There is nothing that you're tightly holding to, nothing is becoming a kind of an obscurity and curtain. So a greater illumination, कि आपने अब कमरा खाली कर दिया पूरा, और लाइट ही लाइट है कमरे में, कोई चीज उसको ब्लॉक नहीं कर रही लाइट को. So a greater illumination and a purer love. Grant that in a communion growing ever deeper, more constant and entire, we may be united always more and more closely to thee and become thy servitors worthy of thee. Remove from us all egoism. So this obsessive focus on me and myself. Root out all petty vanity, greed and obscurity. These all are coming from egoism. These are like, वो बुके आता है ना, बुके में एक फ्लावर्स के साथ वो पतले पतले झाड़ियां और सुंदर सुंदर करने के लिए उसको डालते हैं. So it's like a bouquet of stuff. With egoism comes vanity and greed and obscurity and ambition and lust and anger and aversion, part of the game. May we be all ablaze with thy divine love. Make us thy torches in the world. So when we are able to walk on this path of total offering of ourselves to the divine, and not now having any concern about me and my life, then there is a light in us which shines. And these lights can be many, many. We need billions of lights of such sorts in this world which is at times full of darkness. So wherever we are, if we can do this practice and consecration to whatever degree we can in our capacity, slowly increasing, then the darkness is taken away and we become a torch of the divine. So may we be all ablaze with that divine love. So that divine love, which is a kind of an impersonal love, not directed towards any person. Human love is directed towards a person. This we may have seen in our experience. But divine love is impersonal. There is just this love, which of course we don't fathom what is love, but it is not directed towards this or that person, and that is why it is free of jealousy and obscurity. Because in human love, when it is directed toward a particular individual, then we see that it is impossible that we don't have jealousy and attraction and aversion and all these dualities that come along with it. But the more and more we give ourselves to the divine, there also shines divine love in us, which is impersonal. क्योंकि आपको उससे कुछ चाहिए नहीं है ना, आपको ह्यूमन लव में हमको चाहिए होता है ना, ऑल द टाइम कुछ ना कुछ चाहिए होता है, तो लव की कर्टन में हम दूसरे से डिमांड करते हैं है ना, कि क्योंकि हम तुम्हें प्यार करते हैं इसलिए तुम हमें ये दे दो या ले लो या वॉट एवर तो लव को कर्टन बना के, लव का नाम झूठा करके, गंदा करके हम उसके पीछे अपनी डिमांड्स करते हैं. And that is why it makes us so much, gives us so much suffering, human love, really. But this can be a path towards the divine love. That's what Mother and Sri Aurobindo shares, that human love can be a stepping stone towards divine love. Because when we realize that how much it makes me suffer, then I wonder, is it love? Something else, so माजरा कुछ और चल रहा है, कुछ गड़बड़ चल रही है. Because and the more we are able to make things impersonal in us, then we see that there is love also, but it's not a demanding and sticky and attracting and kind of possessing kind of a love. There is just a presence which is warm and giving strength. So anything more here? Anyone on this prayer? November 28, 1913.
Yeah, in Mirambika, they have the children, they say this prayer, I think, many times a day, and it's like kind of, I again and again was reminded of it today when you were sharing. It's a very small one, and we might have already heard it. It's like, oh Lord, we pray to thee that may we understand better why we are here. May we do better what we are to do here, what we have to do here. May we become what we ought to become here, so that thy will may be realized harmoniously. So it's like, if you're constantly being reminded by outside or around or inside that, right, understand, do, and become, so that thy will. So somehow it feels that then there is less. We still, because we go for stories and everything, and yet it's so grounding, because suddenly it feels that, okay, yes, there are so many distractions and so many ways where you can slip or hurt or cry that, oh, this is happening, that is happening, and yet mudda kya hai, right? Like, so they make the children repeat this prayer several times a day. And I think that, like, when you were sharing, I was reminded that it's like covering everything, right? Like in a very simplistic way. So yeah, other things came to me, but yeah, this one stuck. Yeah, and one more thing, in the last prayer, when you very beautifully said कि अगर मेरे hand में pain हो रहा है, मेरी finger में, and people say कि forget it, forget it, forget it, I'll be like, you are crazy, right? And what I usually do is, like, if it's paining and if people are telling me that भूल जाओ, I'll just say कि you will not understand. And I will say that the way they are telling me to do this is not working, and I will just shun the whole thing, right? I will not go to the root of why is it burning. So what you very beautifully said, in Upanishads, I remember a long time back, I heard a talk. I don't know who the speaker was. uh, Ram Kinkar. I think he's like a devotee of Ramji. So Ram's servant, like, yeah, Ram Kinkar, that was the name of the speaker. He's once said that, if you have a boy like फोड़ा है हाथ में और कोई भी टच कर रहा है तो तुम जोर से उड़ रहे हो, right? Like if he touches you anywhere else, you would not move. But if they touch you where the thing is, if you're just jumping with, oh my God, what have you done? What are you doing? So he said, this is how you can view your life. If somebody is saying something to you, you're getting angry, or if you're reacting to something and repeatedly, then know that the boil is in your hand. बाहर के टच से नहीं हो रहा है, वो मेरे में प्रॉब्लम है. तो जब तक मैं, बट व्हाट आई डू इज आई कीप ब्लेमिंग द आउटसाइड, है ना, कि देखो उसने छुआ, मुझे दर्द हुआ, देखो वो चला गया, मेरे लिए प्रॉब्लम हो गई. सर्कमस्टेंसेस, पीपल, सिचुएशंस, so many of us blame God for our lives, right? But we never see कि दर्द हो क्यों रहा है. Why am I reacting so strongly? And that's where I guess the shift happens, because अगर वहां देख लिया तो ये साइकिल खत्म होने का चांस भी है और श्योरिटी भी है. तो या, थैंक यू. या, थैंक यू.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. I've just picked out the prayer that you were sharing. I think this is the one. Yeah.
They make them say it so slowly that if my child, he asks me sometimes to repeat it, and if I'm even a bit faster, he's like, no, no, no,
Slowly.
wrong. Say it slowly, like with proper pauses. I think
Hmm.
because it has to go in, right? It just
Hmm.
doesn't have to be a
Yeah.
line said. Yeah, so beautiful.
Do you want to share the pace? Which pace is recommended?
Yeah, the way he reads it, I can share a recording of him, but he says, "O Lord, we pray to thee, may we understand better why we are here. May we do better what we have to do here. May we become what we ought to become here, so that thy will may be fulfilled harmoniously." That's how sing song voice he says. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you. Yeah, so I recommend that we should maybe continue a couple of more prayers which are more revelatory. Maybe next time, not this time. It would be just too much, and I don't want to take too much today itself. So, yeah. Any last comments, anyone? All right, so maybe we can take a moment of silence then to end the session and share, dedicate all the merit with innumerable sentient beings near and far, all of us wanting to be happy but doing steps which make us unhappy. So may we all be truly well, truly happy. May all the causes of suffering be taken away from us. May we not suffer, and may we have all the causes and conditions for our true inner happiness. Thank you.